Hey everyone, this is Steve Good, and welcome back to our next episode of The Coin Chat. Today I'm joined by my good friend David Wen, and we'll be talking today about blockchain ledgers and wallets.
Hey, Steve. So I'm really looking forward to this. Before we get into that, I just wanted to mention about the last time we were talking with the Bitcoin pizza guy, not with him, but about it.
Yeah, tell me, what did you find out? You did a bit of extra research?
Yeah, really curious about this topic. So as far as I could find, on May 17th, 2010, a guy named, and I'm probably going to butcher his name here, but Laszlo Haniek made the first recorded purchase with Bitcoin when he posted an offer of 10,000 Bitcoin for someone to deliver 2 pizzas to him. And at the time he was in Florida, and 10,000 Bitcoin was worth about $40. And yeah, 10,000 Bitcoin. Right. So a few days later, May 22nd, a fellow with the handle Jerkos, whose name is, I was able to do some searching and found that his name is Jeremy Sturdivant, took him up on the offer and had 2 either Papa John's or Domino's pizzas delivered to Laszlo, supposedly at a cost of about $25. And then, according to this interview with Sturdivant, he later sold his Bitcoin when it was worth a total of about 400. So 10,000 Bitcoin, was $40 when he does this thing, and then it goes into, it goes up into $400, and then he's like, I'm making a 10x return, so I'm gonna sell. And then now, it's on Twitter. May 22nd is also known as Bitcoin Pizza Day. And
what year did this happen?
This was 2010.
2010.
So 7 years ago.
So I've got a better story for you than this. You're going to love this one. This is actually a year earlier and even better. Not better, but sadder. Lily Allen, she turned down 200,000 Bitcoin for a gig in 2009.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
So, she's still around, right?
She is, but she would be worth over $1 billion had she accepted the gig and the coins.
And as far as I know, both with Lily Allen and Laszlo. So Laszlo, by the way, is still active on Reddit as of this month, November 2017. And so, you're talking about Lily Allen's could have been billions in Bitcoin. The Bitcoin that Laszlo offered, the 10,000 Bitcoin for those pizzas, at the moment it'd be worth right around $100 million. For 2 pizzas. And
the crazy thing is I actually saw an article on Forbes this week that was suggesting from an analyst that works for one of the major hedge funds that he was projecting that Bitcoin could go to over 40,000 by the end of 2018, predominantly because of the demand and such a small number of people are currently in Bitcoin presently in the marketplace relative to the general population, that as people begin to get involved and get interested and jump into it, it's going to drive the price up significantly because it'll be a supply and demand thing. And since the supply is fixed at a maximum 21 million coins, and the supply of people that's out there is significantly higher, he was suggesting the price could go a whole lot higher. So imagine now starting to look at that perspective in terms of what Lily Allen would be worth. I'm not sure it'd be billions anymore. It might be a lot more. So Lily Allen, if you're listening, I'm very sorry. You could join us on an episode and talk about how your success has been driven without Bitcoin.
Well, I get the feeling, as I think a lot of people more and more are getting the feeling, that maybe, just maybe, this Bitcoin cryptocurrency thing could have some serious legs.
Oh, absolutely.
So with that, Steve, I've got some questions for you today. We want to talk about blockchain, right? So I keep hearing about it more and more. It's become very popular in the mainstream media as well. So I just wanted to start off by asking you, what's a blockchain and why is it called a blockchain?
It's a great question to start off. So really cool. So, when people talk about cryptocurrency, the whole process of being able to send or wire currency from person A to person B is going through the blockchain. And it's a series of transactions. So a blockchain is basically 2 parts. The first part is a block. And what happens within a block is that a whole series of transactions are validated. And typically when you send money let's say if you sent me money from your wallet to my wallet, in cryptocurrency and you sent me a certain amount, it won't just instantaneously show up. It has to go through a transaction process the same way it would in banking, only it's 24/7 running. So you send me a certain amount of money, and what happens is that there are a certain number of confirmations that must take place. Each block represents a set of transactions and confirmations that are occurring. And if you have to go through 6 confirmations, that's effectively each block is generating and running one of those confirmations. So a typical example would be with Bitcoin. It's not unusual to find, for example, 6 confirmations required or 6 transactions validated. So what's happening is each block is doing one of those confirmations, and the string of those is called a chain. So a blockchain is effectively the combination of each block in a chain that's confirming transactions for you. And as those confirmations are taking place and all of this is being done, it's being written into a distributed ledger. And the distributed ledger, so people oftentimes, talk about the distributed ledger and the blockchain. The blockchain is effectively the process of writing the blocks into a chain, which means they're writing them into a distributed ledger. The distributed ledger is where the information is being stored. It's a public place that it's stored. It's electronic and it's immutable, which means it's unchangeable. That means that if a transaction goes from you to me, it's public, that anyone can see that in terms of that the transaction occurred. It's private in the sense that you can't see who sent it from A to B unless you know more details about the transaction information, because our names are not stored, just the transactions. But because it's stored in a ledger, it means that it's stored safely, securely, and unchangeable, which gives it a lot of safety and security as well.
So this goes back to the whole issue about being able to have trust between parties that have no idea who each other might be.
So even though you can't necessarily trust anybody when you don't know people, what you realize with blockchain is that the whole thing's happening on a very, very global scale of computers around the world. And these computers are cross-referencing and verifying together in a group, so that if a certain transaction doesn't look to be valid and the other ones are saying it is valid, then they will look together to verify and validate and make sure the transaction is valid before it's confirmed. And that's part of the whole processing, is making sure that transactions are done quickly, transparently, and efficiently, and also to make sure that bad transactions are weeded out. And that's not something you can do very easily.
Yeah, so there's consensus.
Correct, exactly. That's an aspect of consensus, is that everyone is, in this particular instance, it's computers that are having consensus with each other to verify and validate something before it's confirmed as a final confirmation for you to then receive the coins that have been sent to you.
Okay, so when coins are sent to me, or when I want to send coins to somebody, what I understand is that there's wallets on either end, and so
yeah, so there's a number of wallets, right? So you're storing your coins in wallets, and you can have many, many wallets. In fact, each coin itself has a wallet, and you can have multiple wallets in multiple places. That's fine. They're like accounts, I suppose. You could think of them like accounts, like in a bank. But each wallet is your own.
When you say the different coins, you mean each type of coin or
Correct.
Each type of currency?
Exactly. So Ethereum has an Ethereum wallet. Bitcoin has a Bitcoin wallet. You don't store 2 coins in the same wallet. Each wallet has its own storage mechanism, and each coin is stored in its own wallet type, I suppose you say, or each wallet. But you can have multiple wallets. So you could have 5 Bitcoin wallets, and they're just stored in different places.
Okay, so how do they work, and what's the difference between the way that you store money in a crypto wallet versus if you have money in a bank?
Yeah, that's really cool. So first of all, when you think of banking, the whole point of banks is that we trust that the bank will hold our money for us. It's oftentimes the case that with most governments, the banks are backed by the governments in such a way that if something happens, the bank collapses, a certain amount of money will be backed by the government. So your money is somewhat secure and safe. If the bank gets hacked, you still have your money. It's not like you've lost your money. Someone's hacked it and the bank has lost money, but your money is still deemed to be safe and secure. But you're relying on the bank to provide you all of the security and all of the protection that you need to be able to access your money, save your money, store your money, invest your money. Now, the difference is when you get into cryptocurrency, two things change. One is you're not depending on a bank to be open to do transactions, because of course when weekends come, kind of makes it difficult to do any transactions, whereas in cryptocurrency you can transact 24/7. The other factor is that a wallet is your own. You have to store it, you have to take care of it, and it's yours to maintain and manage. If your wallet gets hacked, there's nowhere you can go except to yourself. And so a wallet in a way is like saying you are your own bank, you are responsible for your own money, and you have to take care of it and make sure you back up your own money safely and securely.
Let's hold that thought, because I'd like to come back to that
Sure.
a little bit later. But one of the big questions on my mind, and I might have mentioned this before, but I've only recently gotten involved with the world of crypto, last 3 or 4 months or so. And so one of the big questions I have is like about this topic of wallets is just how do I go about getting a wallet?
Okay, so there's a couple of different ways to get wallets. I mean, last episode we talked about how to start in terms of opening an account, converting your fiat currency into cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or Ethereum. And that's kind of a starting point, because on those platforms, they're giving you some form of a wallet where your money is stored. Now, there's actually a couple of different ways to get wallets. The first one is like to download software on your PC. And those software packages have a variety of wallets. In fact, if you go to a website called cryptocompare.com, they have a tab at the top called Wallets, and they have a whole series of different wallet software packages that you can download and use. And they'll actually highlight for you which wallets are available within that software package. So a couple of examples are Exodus, which has a series of wallets within it, and Jaxx, which is JAXX. So those are just two examples. They're two wallets that I've used off and on, both very good packages, but there's a number of others out there as well. And it's just a matter of finding the wallet that has the coins you want to store. Not all wallets are available in all packages. Sometimes you need several. So that's one, is the download. The second is that, if you're wanting to trade coins, buying and selling coins, then you have to go onto an exchange. And the exchanges, there's a number of exchanges. There's Poloniex, there's Bittrex, Bitstamp, to name a few. There's HitBTC. And all of these different exchanges actually list a number of coins that are the same, but also a number that are different. Because when an ICO completes, they will put their coins onto exchanges, but the exchanges charge money to be listed there. So not every coin is found on every exchange. But
and Steve, just to clarify, you said an ICO. What does that stand for?
It's an initial coin offering, which is the whole process of a company going from not being listed on an exchange to actually doing a fundraising process. And then as a result of fundraising, they then list your coin onto an exchange. So that process of listing your coin on an exchange is what makes the coin, at least one of the ways of making the coin tradable. Once it's on the exchange, those exchanges will then have wallets, and then you can deposit your money into those wallets.
Okay, so if you have like the software wallet that you mentioned, and you can then use that to transfer funds between your accounts on exchanges as well?
So you can, So once you have the software downloaded, for example, you could store Bitcoin in one of your downloaded wallets. You could then make a request to transfer the money from your wallet on your desktop to an exchange if you wanted to use the Bitcoin to buy other coins. And the third way is that you can actually store your coins offline, and you usually do that through a USB of some sort, like a Trezor or a Ledger Nano S or a KeepKey, which are the three most popular hardware wallets. And they're called hardware wallets because they're USB sticks of some sort or devices that you plug into your PC. You literally store your wallet on the device, and then it's completely offline.
So I'm wondering if there's either one already or something that's going to come out that is a USB that looks like a little piggy bank. And
you just drop your coins inside, and it stays there. And it's only when you break it that they come out, or hopefully in this case you don't break it.
Yeah, maybe you call it like crypto bacon or something, Yeah. But hopefully, you won't ever have to like break it or do the or worse, right?
Actually, if you ever had a burglar break into your house, then you could have like this little pink pig sitting up on like a ledge or something, and no one would think, oh yeah, that's like his backup hardware wallet. It just looks like a little pig, but actually that's where you're storing your coins.
All right, Kickstarter.
Yeah, exactly.
So okay, so you mentioned there's just to recap and to make sure that I heard you correctly, that there's the types of wallets where you can it's software and you download it to your computer. There's the types that you basically have your currency or your crypto on an exchange where you trade them, and then there's this hardware wallet where it's a USB type of device that plugs in and can be removed from your computer. So you basically have your crypto stored on that, and you want to make sure that you hang on to that and you can access it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's certainly the most secure way to store it is by storing it on an offline wallet, because then it's not on the internet. It's not accessible through any sort of network. It's highly secure because it's yours and it's yours only, and no one can get to it. But naturally, of course, if you want to do anything like trade, buy, sell of any sort, then being it offline, it's not going to make it very easy. So you need to have a mechanism for bringing it back online when you need to.
So how do I access my wallets? How do I access my funds when I have it stored offline, like in the USB or the hardware wallet?
I mean, so basically, you just plug the USB into your PC, and there's software that comes with the USB stick or the offline device, the offline hardware wallet, and then it displays all of the information on your wallets within the device. But the other piece of the puzzle, which is really important about wallets, is what's called a private key. So if you think of it like a vault or a very secure environment, in order to get into that secure environment, you need some sort of secure key, private key, secret key that allows you to open the vault or open the wallet. So the private key is the really important part of a wallet, because what happens is that wallets themselves are not meant to be accessible unless you have the private key to open them. So if you want to open up your Jax software and your Jax wallets, you need to have the private key available and put it in. It's a very long string of words typically, and it's just about next to impossible to crack because it's based on cryptographic algorithms. So it's really, really secure. And whether it's your desktop or whether it's your offline wallet, your hardware wallet, it's when you're accessing it on your PC that you need to have these keys. Now, one major distinction, and one of the reasons why it's often not recommended to put your money on an exchange, is because the exchanges, unfortunately, don't give you access to your private keys to back up your money. So you're relying on the exchanges to act like they're banks, and yet they're not backed up by a federal or local environment that's like government backed to protect you. You're just relying on their IT systems, and it's a little bit dangerous to do that, because if something goes wrong, you may not be able to recover your money. And there have been examples of things that have gone wrong in the past where money's been lost and unfortunately can't be recovered. So, best bet is when it comes to wallets, make sure you store it in a wallet where you do have access to the private key.
Okay, so this comes back to a point where you had mentioned earlier about access to your wallet, securing that, and all this. And this is really timely for me for two reasons. One is that you mentioned if you have your coins on an exchange, you're sort of dependent on them. So that's exactly where I am right now, and that's why I asked about how do I get a wallet, because I'd like to go through this process where I get my tokens and my coins onto my own private or my own wallet or wallets. And then the other thing is, unfortunately, I was traveling this past week, and I'm not giving up hope, but I misplaced a thumb drive that had some sensitive data on it. And
oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. I'm sure I shouldn't be laughing, but here's the thing: if you lose your hardware wallet, and it has all your coins on it, there's two pieces of good news. One is it is possible to restore it as long as you've done all the right procedures to back everything up. And actually, we've got a guest coming in the future who will talk through all the technical ins and outs of how to back everything up and really get into the nuts and bolts of storing backup. But the second piece is not only is it possible to restore, as long as you've got the private key, then the person that accesses a thumbnail drive or a hardware wallet of yours, if you were to lose it, you won't actually lose anything, because without the private keys, they won't be able to open up your little mini vault. It's just a vault that's useless to anybody else that finds it. So that's sort of the good news there. But the bad news is if you don't have the other information, like the private key and the wallet data backed up somewhere else, then, and there have been stories of people who have lost their private keys and they've just lost their money, and that's it. It's sitting out there on the ledger. It's written there that somebody owns it. It's immutable, but they can't get to it because they don't have their private key. And there must be nothing worse than being able to look at your money sitting there on a ledger and not be able to touch it.
It's like the Midas touch, maybe. But yeah, we both know people. I know one person that specifically he like stored it on a hard drive and can't find it now. And this is back when Bitcoin wasn't really worth much, And now he had I think he had 200 coins.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned to you previously about a guy I know that lost 50 coins and as Bitcoin has past the 10,000 mark and continues to go up toward 11 and 12 and wherever it's headed, that person's probably sitting there more and more miserable, thinking the job they're doing now is just not worth it. But I just can't emphasize enough. Back up your private keys and make sure they're somewhere safe and secure. Don't store them on the cloud. Don't store them in places that are going to be easily accessible. One recommendation might be get a safety deposit box and print out your private keys and put them in a safety deposit box in a bank or somewhere secured, or put them in a safe that's also fireproof. I mean, there are things like that. I know they sound crazy, but remember, with a wallet, you're your own bank, so you have to secure it. And if you don't, and it gets lost, it's lost. And there's nothing worse than losing everything.
These things don't sound crazy at all, especially how I wish, when you said if you have a hardware wallet and you have a private key and you lose the wallet, you're still able, as long as you have the private key backed up, you're still okay. I wish there was such a feature for what I had lost, like just a simple thumb drive. Bad idea. So yeah, when you talk about an abundance of caution, safety deposit box, a safe, something like that. It sounds really reasonable to me now.
It's just takeaways from lessons learned from other people, right? I mean, that's the whole point of these discussions, is to help people so they do it right the first time. And of course, if you want to be trading, I mean, there's a lot of people I know out there that are regularly buying Bitcoin and selling Ethereum and getting into Ripple or getting into IOTA after they signed their deal with Microsoft and on and on. There's all sorts of exciting things happening with some of these companies. And of course, you want to be in on the action. The downside is to be in on the action, your coins are generally sitting someplace like an exchange, which doesn't give you the level of security and safety. But that's sort of the two-edged sword of, I want to have coins, but I can't have them secured, but I want to trade. And that's something over time we're going to have to address and fix. It can't be that forever it's going to be this hard, because, we all want to be able to have access to things like coins. And there's a lot of good companies out there that we want to buy and sell into. We also want to have the coins to use as part of the ecosystem of those companies. And if you want to be able to use the coins for those ecosystems or those platforms, you have to have access to the coins. You can't have them sitting in a fire safe vault in your house and never be able to use them. That just doesn't make sense. So for people who are doing the hodl, as we've talked about previously, the hold on for dear life, then I understand it's for a long-term hold. It makes sense. But yeah, just be conscious and be aware that when you're using coins and storing them, of the risks associated with it. That's all.
I'm with you. Like, the whole hodl thing is basically what I'm doing. But let's suppose I do want to engage in some transactions with my coins. Like let's say I just want to sell some, and assuming I've already transferred them to a wallet of my own, or I want to buy something or trade something. What do I do in order to, you mentioned it doesn't seem that convenient right now.
Right. So in terms of transferring coins from you to me, for example.
Yeah.
Right. So actually that's not so hard. Actually, transferring through a bank is a whole lot harder. Although it doesn't sound like it should be, but it is. And the reason being is that when you want to send me money, there's only really one thing you need, which is you need my wallet address. So every wallet has an address. So long as I can provide you the wallet address, which in and of itself, it's secure because you don't have the private keys to access my wallet anyway. Yep. So you have my wallet address. I send it to you and I say, okay, well, David, it was great having dinner with you the other night. Could you please, send me the, 100 euros for dinner or $100, whatever. And you're like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. But yeah, the problem is, it's Friday night and the banks are closed, so you won't have your money till next week, Monday or Tuesday. And I'm thinking, oh, great. Well, there goes a weekend. I kind of wanted to, do something with the money, but okay, fine. And then you say, well, I got a better idea. I'll just send it to you on PayPal. And I say, oh, great. So you send it to me on PayPal. And well, the good news is it shows up on my PayPal account right away, but then I need to withdraw it. So same example, but now I'm having to wait till Monday to click the withdraw button. It probably doesn't show up until Wednesday or Thursday if I'm lucky in my bank account, neither of which is a very positive outcome. Now with crypto, as I mentioned before, it's all about the blockchain and just the confirmation process, which takes really no more than an hour. And with other networks like Ethereum, it goes pretty quick. So if you're going to send me money, you say, okay, Steve, I want to send you, 1 Ether, which, okay, that's great. That's $500. You only owe me 100, but that's great. I'll take it. No problem. Okay, cool. So you give me I give you my wallet address. You go into your wallet and you just say to wallet address, amount 1 Ether, send. And that's pretty much it. And whilst we're sitting on the phone and you're clicking send, I say to you, yep, I can see that it's already been listed on my account. It's going through confirmation. It's pending. And within a few minutes, it's confirmed. And I've got the money. And I literally have the money right then and there. Now, of course, it's a little harder to spend cryptocurrency today than fiat currency like dollars, yen, euro, pounds. But that's going to change. It's going to get easier. So, but the point is, you're asking how easy or difficult and how do you do it? It's really easy to send money between people. It's remarkably quick. And it's it's the future. I just don't see a reason to have to wait for banks to be closed for the weekend so I can just get some money. It's just, what I find really amazing is the banks talk about all their electronic processing and how optimized they are. And yet something simple like you sending me money can't be done electronically. Even today, you have to wait till the bank is open. And I just think that's so old school. I don't understand it at all.
Yeah, I could go on and on about banks, which I won't. But the examples that you gave, so sending coins between individuals like you and I is easy. But the previous examples you gave, basically, it all ends up going through the bank, right? And that's where a lot of the delay is. So even with PayPal, if you want to. So I suppose if somebody sends you money on PayPal and then you spend those funds from PayPal, then it can shorten the time a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. That's a good point. So so if you go onto a platform that accepts PayPal currency, then if you were to send me PayPal money and then I went onto a platform that allows me to spend PayPal money, like to buy an airplane ticket or to buy some goods online, you're right. I could do that all fairly quickly and instantaneously. And in that respect, it's almost like, it's like crypto in terms of the speed of transaction. It really achieves the same objectives. Absolutely right.
Yeah, but the thing is that if you want to get it into fiat currency and you want to have it in your bank account, right? That's like the delay.
That's the delay, and the delay can go on for 2, 3, 4, 5 days. So for the example of you're sitting over there in the U.S., you want to send me something in Europe. And I say, great, just send it to me on Friday. And you get busy with work and you forget and you don't send it till, say, 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. It's not even going to get out and get even posted onto my site in Europe because, let's face it, there's going to be some days in between called a weekend before any bankers are even going to be awake in Europe to start even looking at it and transacting it. And that's even assuming that the bank on the U.S. side has even done anything with it. So, there goes the weekend and there goes Monday. And then you're looking at Tuesday or Wednesday before I'm even have the potential of receiving the money. So you're talking about, just short of a week to get money wired around, which is a bit silly. Why does it take so long? It just seems very old school and outdated now.
Yeah, I don't know why they have a bank holiday. It seems like every day is a holiday for the bank. But anyway, so the question I have, right, is basically if you want to, so besides individuals and approximating this with, PayPal, when you want to sell your coins and get it into fiat in your bank account, then
you go back to the to our discussion, the previous one about how do you get started, and that's where you go back to using a number of these exchanges like Coinbase or Gemini or Bitso or others, where they're able to easily move back and forth, or you're using some of the cryptocurrency credit cards like Monaco or 10x or Advanced Cash. And you literally move your cash from Bitcoin and it converts it to euro or dollar, and then you could spend on the card.
Okay, so basically you send your money from if you're on your own wallet, you send it into an exchange, and then you convert it to fiat, and then you can transfer it back to your bank, or you can get it onto
in these examples, they're sort of like pseudo exchanges because they're really like converting. They're specifically focused on converting between fiat and crypto most of the time. Some of them have a wider set of services, but many of them have just a crypto to fiat conversion, and that's about all they do. So it's a form of exchange, almost like going to an airport and you say, I want to change my my yen for pounds because I'm traveling and I need the currency in the other, for the country I'm traveling to. So the same kind of thing applies here in that context.
Got it. Okay. So, Steve, it's been really, really interesting discussion. It's been really informative for me, and I'm excited to get started. I think we're coming up on time here, and I just wanted to ask you if there was anything else that you'd want to add for this episode, for this discussion.
No, as I mentioned at the beginning, I said, the most important takeaway to remember with all of this is make sure you store your coins safely and securely. Remember, you've got your private keys. That's the access to the wallets. And that's just the most important thing I want people to remember, because your wallet is your money. And when you've got your money, you are the bank, and there's no one else in the way to transact. But it's also your responsibility to make sure you take care of it and look after it. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending today. It's been a great chat. David, thank you so much for taking the time to throw these questions around. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, totally.
Until next week, to the moon, and have a great week.